I have both of mine cut out and they're mounted on black cardstock. We're going to stick Alice off to the side for now. Let's grab our album piece here. We're going to stick those right here. So the glue will not go underneath this side. It's just going to be about back, behind, and under and up. So I don't want his arm to go over, so I'm thinking like this. So I'll just bring him down. Just like, there we go. And that looks good. Let's close this up, and I would like to work on this side first. In your paper pack, you should have another one of these. We're going to turn this sideways. We're going to measure over 7 3/4 and cut. After making that cut, this is what you should have. Measure over 8 3/8 and cut. This piece here, we're going to apply glue, and again, it's on our left fold out, and we're going to center it right like that and glue that down. There we go. I'm going to open this up so I can burnish this down just a little bit better. The next piece that we're going to want is the 5 1/8 by 6 5/8 front flip. And we're going to fold on that score line. So our hinge is going to be off to the left on this, and all we're going to do is glue that down right there with the flap down so that when we open it, it looks like this. And we'll use glue for this. And I'm bringing it almost all the way over to the left and almost to the top, leaving about 1/8 of an inch there. I think I got that on straight. And then I'll open it up and burnish. Now, we've already set our magnets, but what we have over here is this. We're going to glue this down to where it is a tuck. And then what our picture mat will do for us is it will tuck back behind to help hold down this folder or this flip that we installed. So you can do your picture mat like this. So what I'm going to do is make sure I get the legs, and I'm going to go across just like that. So, and I'm going to bring it over right here, and I'm going to burnish that down. Now we can shoot a little bit of glue just right back at where the peak of her hair is to help that stay down as well. In your reserves, you will have this piece. The first thing I would like you to do is cut down to divide this from this. Place this in your reserves. This piece here, we're going to cut out and around the image to get the white off. So let's do that. Let's see if we need to trim this down any, but I believe that this will fit in here nicely, giving us a black border all the way around. If you need to do a little more trimming, do so, but I think that'll look really good right there. Let's glue that down. Okay, let's set that off to the side. Let's grab our 3 5/8 by 4 5/8. In your reserves, you will have this panel. Grab it, let's cut out and around this piece. This piece, after cutting it, looks like this, so you have a choice. You can lay that down like this, and you'll have a little more black around the border. And what we can do is put a little strip over here, like this, to be your picture mat, and then it would slide in like this to help keep this shut. Or you can flip it over and use it like a tag and put it in like that. I'm going to have the more brighter color here, and then I'm going to find us a strip for over here. I like background decorative paper when I'm doing picture mats. Now this picture mat is smaller, so I'm just going to bring this over. It's for a small photo. Smaller photo, I should say. A lot of people do print them out about that size. In your reserves, you should have this long, skinny piece. Remember that? We chopped it off. Well, all we're going to do is lay this down next to, and we're going to measure to fit. And we're going to put 2 rows of this. If I could stop shaking. There's one that I'm going to glue down. And then this one should fit as well. So no matter what side you use, I am shaking so bad. There, good enough. So I'm going to glue these little, I'll put this little piece back in reserves, but I'm going to get this down. And I think that's going to work perfect. So this is what you look like. So if you want to place it in like this, you can. Or you can place it in like this. It makes no difference. So for now, we'll just kind of stick that off to the side. Let's get our paper for in here. In your reserves, you're going to find 2 pieces like this. On the back side, we have part of Alice down here. This is about, looks like it is 3 5/8 by about 7 3/4 tall. You're also going to find this one has part of her head here. On the back, it's checkered. This is about 2 1/2 by 7 1/2. So on both of these, what we're going to do, looking at it like this, to where we have Alice down at the ends here, they're long ways, measure over 6 3/8 and cut on those. So after making those cuts, this is what you should have. This one here gets placed here, and we are away from the hinge, about 1/16 or 1/8 of an inch. This one, we can still see your chair, we're going to flip over, and we're going to overlap to look just like that. So let's do that. Get that down. There we go. For this little strip here, we're going to grab something from our reserves. In your reserves, you should find this long, skinny piece. Looks like this. And I think the first thing that we're going to do is look at it like this. Measure over 6 5/8 and cut. This is what you should have, and all we're going to do is glue that right down, and we will leave a 1/16 of an inch from our hinge there. You can also use this side too if you'd rather. I'm going to place glue on the more patterned side. And it goes all the way up to the top of the black cardstock. There we go. I think that looks really good. Let's open this up and finish up our right fold out the front. In your reserves, you will find these pieces. We got the teapots on one side, and we have this on the other, and you can see where the writing is there. This is 12 inches long by about 3 5/8. This one is 12 inches long. You'll be able to see part of Alice's chair there, and it is about 4 1/8. On the back, it looks like this. On both of these, what you're going to want to do is measure over 7 3/4 and cut. Now you can arrange these any way you want. The smaller width one will be over here. So I'm going to show you what it looks like. This one's going down first, then this one's going to go over. You'll have your black border. You can have it look like that, and I think that looks good. Another way is just to flip this over and have the teapots over there. And when you close it, you'll see part of the teapots on the side. So it'll look like that, or it will look like that. And I'm going to do where I have this print up. So it's up to you. And I need to go wash my hands again. I've got glue all over them. I'm a little heavy-handed on my glue. And I'll leave a little bit of a black border over here. And this is just a place for us to place photos on this one. Okay, this one's going over the top. Watch out for your magnet so you don't actually get on it and tear your paper. I almost did that. Okay, let's take a look. That looks pretty good. That one goes in first. That one goes in. Page 3 is complete. Let's flip it over. Score tape around the outside like a picture frame. 1 down the middle and 2 on either side. And we're going to place this in our book together. I have the score tape backing off my piece. I'm going to grab my book. We're going to come in 1/8 inch from the edge here. And that's it. So I'll do the best I can. And that's good. I'll open that up and burnish it now. Page 3 is complete. I think it looks really good. We're now on to page 4. We're on page 4. This is a fun one to do. Let's go over our pre-cuts. We had 2 pieces that were cut at 4 1/4 by 6 1/8. On each one of these, what we did, we laid this on our scoring board, so we were 6 1/8 across. We scored at 1/2 and 5/8, and on both of these, and we called them an inner FO. FO stands for fold out, so inner fold out. Next, we had a 4 by 10 1/8 piece. We called it a bottom flip. We laid this on our scoring board, so we are 4 inches across. We scored at 1/2 inch and 3/4 inch. Next, we had a very large one. It's an 8 by 10 1/8. We called it a top flip. On this one, we laid it on our scoring board, so we are 8 inches across. We scored it at 1/2 and 3/4. Our top flip. We have a 3 1/2 by 11 inch. We called it a bottom flip pocket. We placed this on our scoring board, so we are 3 1/2 inches across. We scored it at 1/2 inch. We then turned it, so now we are 11 inches across. We scored at 1/2 and 10 1/2. Bottom flip pocket. Our last 2 have no scoring on it. They're just 2 1/2 by 5 1/4 pieces. We called them top flip tuck. And I'll explain that more when we get there. So let's begin. In your paper pack, you'll have another one of these, and on the back, it looks like this. First thing we're going to do is we're going to turn it sideways. We're going to measure over 8 inches and cut. After making that cut, this is what you should have. Measure over 10 1/8 and cut. This is our main decorative page. We're going to grab both of our 4 1/4 by 6 1/8 inner FO. And what we're going to do is fold on those score lines, and then we're going to attach it. The first one we're going to work with is a hinge off to the left. And on the outside score line, we're going to pinch and crease. We'll still be able to see our other score line. We're going to attach this, so we're just going to bring this all the way to the top of our decorative paper. Make sure that you do not go over it. And we're going to glue this down. And once that's down, check. Make sure no glue seeped out, and we'll push back against the other. Now on this one, our hinge is off to the right. On the outside score line, pinch and crease. And then this one comes all the way to the bottom. Make sure that you do not go over the bottom of your decorative paper. It'll just make things a little more difficult when we get on our bottom and top flip. Okay, let's get our paper for here. In your reserves, you will have one of these. It's 4 inches by 12. Looks like that on the back. You'll also have this piece. It's 4 inches by 12. Here's part of Alice. And then we have this side. We're going to look at it like this. We're going to make 2 cuts. So one has Alice here, one has the chair down here. We're going to measure over 5 1/4 and cut. We'll measure over again 5 1/4 and cut. After doing that, you'll have several pieces here. Let's flip over the one with Alice, the bottom of her chair, and we're going to glue that down to the bottom one here. And we'll center that in there as best we can. And for this one here, I think we're going to get a little color up here, and we'll glue that one down to the top of this one. Once you have those, let's open it up. And this one right here, I think we'll put that one down here with the red, just to kind of balance out some colors maybe. Doesn't matter, you can do these any way you want. I'm just kind of looking to see what I would like. And these are just for backgrounds for picture placement. So you place your photo right on over that, so it really doesn't matter. You'll get the outside, which will be nice. And then for the inside over here, let's see, that or that. I'm actually going to go with that being up so I can get some of that color over there. You can do whatever you like. But once I get my photo in here, like I said, it'll get some of that background all the way around. All right, let's close that up. The next thing that we're going to want to do is grab our 8 by 10 1/8 top flip. And we're going to fold on those score lines. I think I got that on there. So our hinge is going to be at the top. So the top score line, we will pinch and crease. Here is our thing. We're going the right way. This gets attached at the top. So I'm going to just kind of lay that there. And I'm going to pinch. And I'm going to glue this down. And then I'll push back against the other one and push down until it's flat. And it should look something like that. So we'll open that up. Let's grab our bottom flip. And we're going to do the same thing as fold on the score lines. And we're going to attach this. The hinge is down at the bottom, so the bottom score line. We're just going to attach this. Now one thing is you may want to, once you have this flat, is have it down first and then put this over to make sure that it lines up. And then we're just going to get our hinge down. And one way to look to see if your hinge is on straight is looking at that score line. So you can always line yourself up like that as well, making sure that score line is straight underneath. And then once I get that kind of tacked down, I'm going to open this up and make sure I burnish well down here. There. And then I can push back on the other one. There we go. So now you should be pretty even. Okay, we do need to cut this at an angle, but first, before we do that, we're going to cut our decorative paper so that it's easier to cut. So let's first, because then we have to do our magnet. So I am going to grab the paper we want to get after, which is this, and it's in your paper pack. Let's turn this sideways. We're going to measure over 7 inches and cut. This is what you should have. Let's turn this upside down. Measure over 9 7/8 and cut. Now, if you were to place this down, it should fit right on top of that. But what I want to do is have us cut at an angle. So we're going to need our pencil and we're going to need our ruler. What you're going to want to do is measure over 4 15/16 and make a pencil mark. That is going to, 4 15/16 is right between 4 7/8 and 5 inches. And that will give you, from that side over, that should be in the middle for us. So just make that little mark. You're going to need it at the edge. Next, we're going to measure up on the side. So I'm going to place this down and get that even with the top of my paper. Measure down 4 3/4 and make a pencil mark. We'll come over here and measure down 4 3/4 right along the edge. And we'll make that pencil mark. So we have our marks here. I'm going to double check myself. Make sure it's accurate. Yep. So now what you're going to do is take the pencil mark on the side, put your ruler down, and angle it to where you're at the bottom of the page. And we're going to draw. We're going to do that this way as well. And we'll bring it to the tip there. So now what I have is this coming down to the tip and this. Now I am going to stick this on my paper cutter and cut so I have a straight cut cutting down. These 2 pieces I want you to keep. So this is what you should have. These 2 pieces, like I said, we're just going to hold these off to the side. I think we might be able to use those with our little tuck pieces. Okay, we're just going to open this up like this. Now you'll be able to see your score line there, but what we're going to do is we are going to place this down and it will give us a border. So you're going to want to get straight. If it's easier for you to first do it like this so you can see what's happening, you can do it like that. I'm just going to open mine up, and this is the bottom of my flip. That way we get the black cardstock to frame around this, and it'll look good. Just try to get this on as even as you can. If it's a little off, it's okay, guys. No one's going to notice. And we're going to center that side to side. Okay, this next part is the easy part. Oh, I think that looks so cute how that came out. What you're going to want to do, and if you need to draw a line first with your ruler, is you're just going to leave a little bit of a black border. So I'm just going to place my ruler there, and I'm going to draw that way, and I'll draw this way. And then I'll check to make sure it looks pretty even. And now what I'm going to do is stick this, and I have all this flopped out the other way, but I'm going to cut. If you want to cut by hand, you can do that. I'll show you what mine looks like as soon as I'm done. After doing that, this is what mine looks like. And it looks really good. I like that. Let's work on the bottom flip. In order to get Humpty Dumpty to kind of fit down here, and this is in our reserves, on the back it looks like this. This is about 5 inches by 12. The first thing that we're going to do is measure over 5/8 and cut. And that 5/8 will put us right on this line here. And we'll just cut all the way down, and I will show you mine. So after making that cut, this is what you have. Let's turn it this way, measure over 3 inches, and cut. Now I want to center the words Humpty Dumpty. So right now what I would like you to do is just place this down and close this. We still need to place a magnet here and under here, but let's get our piece ready. Place this to where Humpty, between Humpty and Dumpty, is right in the center where your peak is there. We're going to measure to fit this. So over here you come in about 1/8 and make a pencil line. Over here come in about 1/8 and make a pencil line. So now what we're going to do is trim off that excess so that we can get that centered. And I'll show you what mine looks like. So this is what your piece is going to look like. Let's open that up and get a couple of magnets out. We'll get our plus and we will get our minus. Whoops. Let's start up here. Where's my thing? I would like you to come in about 1 inch down from that peak there. Let's put our mate on there. And now make sure that you are straight on the bottom and you are where you need to be. And we are going to press. Now let's apply glue, and we will center it right on in there so it leaves you a black lip there, okay? And we'll get this down. So let's check it out. And that looks really good. Nice and colorful. The next thing that we are going to work on is our bottom flip pocket. So let's cut out those little squares. We'll fold in on our score lines and we will glue down the flaps, just like we've done before. Okay, so we are going to flip this down. Now our opening is going to be here. So if we were to place this down, we will be about 1/8 of an inch away from that bottom score line. Again, opening is here, so this part is going to be here. And we're going to get this down. So that'll give you a little black down here too. And we've got nice spacing so you can get in this pocket. I'll show you how that works here. So when you can stuff in here a bunch of your picture mats, and there's enough spacing between this to accommodate doing that. Okay, so this is what we look like. There's our top flip. Here's this, and we're going to get paper for that. In your reserves, you will have this piece. It's 12 inches. I believe this just came off. I'm not sure what we were working on. But what I'd like you to do is put this on your paper cutter and divide the red trim from this side. So this long piece is what you should have. That's one. You will also find this piece in your reserves. It is about 1.5 by 10 inches. That's perfect. So we got this one, we got this one. And I think I found a winner. You'll also find this long piece. It's 12 inches. Looks like this on the other side. And it's the clipping off the bottom of Humpty Dumpty that we had done. The measurement, this is 5/8. On both of these, what I would like you to do is measure over 10 inches and cut. So we are using scraps. This should be 10 inches. Make sure that you do not go over the bottom of your pocket when you do this. So you'll want to leave a little bit of black showing on your pocket. So maybe just a little teeny bit, 1/16 or so. We'll go side to side with this. And I'm going to bring mine up so I can see what I'm doing here. So about a 1/16 of my bottom of my pocket showing. I think that's good. The next piece is this. And we'll apply glue to this side. Get this down. And we will just bring that right on over next to that one. And I think this will be okay. And then it will leave us a black lip right there. So I think that's what we're going to do here. Let's see. And we will put the thinner of the red right next to this one. That makes some great use of some of these scraps. I'll tell you, when you're doing these large albums and stuff. Originally when I did this design on my Camp Happy Bear, I had 3 paper packs. But in those paper packs were 12 double-sided sheets. So that would mean for each paper pack we had 2 extra from what we have here. So 6 extra full-size sheets. But unfortunately, Stamperia only gives us 10 double-sided. So we are 6 short. So of what I had used on the other. So we're making good use though. It's all good. Here is our pocket. It's time to work on this one. So in your paper pack you will have one of these, and this will be a great place to put something like this, I think. Some of it isn't going to fit, I don't think, but that's okay. Turn it sideways, measure over 7 inches, and cut. This is what you should have. First thing we're going to do is measure over 3/4 and cut. After doing that, you will look like this. Measure over 9 7/8 and cut. Okay, to get our peak correct, what I'd like you to do is first line this up so that it gives you room, your black border on each side. Make sure that you have about 1/8 inch away from that bottom score line. I want you to pinch and hold on to this and fold this over. Just like that. And I want you to draw. Here is my pencil lines, and I'm going to use my cutter to do that, and if I need to trim down the bottom, I will. So I'll show you mine in just a moment. My lines are going like that. So this is what mine looks like. I'm going to flip it over and see if that looks good. And it does where I have a border up here, but I am going to trim off probably, I'd say for that, I'm going to take off maybe a 1/4 inch from the bottom. And now I should be fitting just fine here and giving me that spacing. So we'll glue this down. This particular piece is harder to work with, this print. We will be using it again, but it's a calendar, so I look at it as a background print. Just a background print, rather than using it as a calendar and cutting out and stuff, I think. Where's my, there it is. Get around that. I had you set aside these 2 pieces here, like this. Or we can flip them around to be like this. Whichever way you would like. We have 2 pieces left, and it's our top flip tuck. Turn these over, and I would like you to move this over until you have just a 1/16 of black showing top, or excuse me, the bottom and the side. And what you're going to do is first we'll glue this down, and I'm going to have the red up. If you'd rather have the other, do so. But it'll make it easier if I get this on and then I can cut around it. So that's down. And I'm not so sure that this other one is going to fit correct, so that's why I had us do a second one of those. So you need to have one going this way and one going that way. So we'll do the same over here. And again, this is just a little tuck. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually use my paper cutter if I can, and I'm going to cut at that angle, leaving about a 1/16 of black showing on each one of these. And I will show you mine. Mine came out just a little bit more, but that's all right. Let's grab this. So this is our tuck. So one's going to go over here glued down, and one's going to go like this. And the first thing I want you to do is get our sides and the bottom, because we have something in the middle there, all the way to the tip on this one. And you'll line it up with the bottom of your decorated paper. Whoops, I got this. There we go. I'm going to wipe up that glue for sure. There we go. And then this one down and over. So that's going to get over this one. We'll bring it to the side of our decorated paper. Just something different. Now I want to get something to fit right here. And I want Humpty Dumpty, I think. Yep, let's get Humpty Dumpty out of there. Now this is going to detach my little clock, but that's all right. I'm just going to stick that in a different little pile so I don't lose it. Let's cut out and around Humpty Dumpty. Then what we're going to do is we're going to glue him down to some scratch cardstock, and we're going to cut out and around, leaving a black border. So let's do that. I have Mr. Humpty Dumpty all cut out. He was easier than I thought he would be. So what we're going to do is make sure that we get his shoes. Do not make sure his one part here does not go over. So you'll still be able to see behind. His hands go down and his shoes. So for me, I'm going to take a look. Here's one shoe. And I'm going to look to see, and his hand. And I think I'm going to start there, and then I'm going to lift them to add the rest of the glue. So his hand and his shoe. Do not go over, otherwise you're going to mess with your hinge there. And I'm going to get under his hand. And I think a little bit under there. Let's test this out. Let's see what I have in my reserves to look. So we have that. You can slide in a picture mat back behind Humpty Dumpty. I would like, we're going to say we're all mad here. I would like to put something else here. Okay, we're going to cut out an round adventure. We do not need to back it. And if you'd like to weave around that, you can when you're fussy cutting it. Or you can wait and see what mine looks like. So I'm just going to weave around this, I think, as best I can. So that's all I did, was just kind of weave around it. And I think I'm going to put adventure right here. So I'm not going to put any back behind this little bit, but I am for the rest. So, but it does not need to be backed. I think it'll stand out just fine. That looks awesome. I like it. This page is done. Score tape around the back side like a picture frame. One down the middle. And we're going to put 2 on each side, and I want us to use some glue as well in between there. I think I'll use my 3/8 for this one. And then we're going to place this in our book together. If you want to jump ahead and place it in your book, you will not leave an 1/8 inch spacing. You're going to bring it all the way to the right hand edge. So you may want to wait for me on this page. I'm going to finish up by burnishing. I'm going to remove my score tape, and I'll meet you at the book. Okay, I have the score tape backing off. I've got some glue on there. I'm going to grab something so you can see, but this edge over here. But I am going to bring it all the way over to the edge. Watch that top and bottom, and with the fold out you may be sitting right along the bottom edge of your page. And for me it was for that extra fold out. So I'm going to open this up and we're going to burnish that. Page 4 looks awesome. I love it. We are now on to page 5. One thing I want to show you, because we are very thick over here, that you can do is push back a little on this side. Now, if for whatever reason your hinge wants to pop, well, that's an indication you didn't get your hinge on very well, and stick some glue under there and burnish. I'm good with mine, but all I'm doing is pushing a little to give a little bit more so it will lay flatter. And no worries about that. If you do have to add a little glue, which I did not, my hinge is still really tight down, is that we are going to be reinforcing these hinges. But you can, if you would like, to push a little bit back to kind of make a bend a little bit. You can do that. Your albums are meant to be tough, actually, at least mine are. So if you just push a little bit, it will grab the other side by doing it over here and kind of tuck it back so that this side will lay a little flatter. And speaking of which, when we do cut our decorative page for here, we are only going to be 10 inches wide rather than 10 1/8. So let me get this out of the way and we're going to go over our pre-cuts. We have 3 pre-cuts for this page. Our first one is 7 by 11 inches. We called it a back pocket. We laid this on our scoring board, so we are 7 inches across, and we scored that at a 1/2 inch. We then turned it. We are 11 inches across. We scored that at a 1/2 and 10 1/2. Next, we had a 4.5 by 11. We called it a top pocket. We laid this on our scoring board. So we are 4.5 across. We scored at a half. We turned it. We are now 11 inches across. We scored at a half and 10.5. The last one is a 3 5/8 by 5. We laid this on our scoring board. 3 5/8 across. We scored it at a half. We turned it. We are now 5 inches across. We scored at a half and 4.5, and we called this a side pocket. For this particular page, we are going to need our book. We're going to work right on in here. Grab this out of your paper pack. We have another one of these. We're going to look at it where the calendar's like this. We're going to measure over 4 inches and cut. This is what you're going to have. This one, I want you to save it for our page 6, so I'm just going to set that off to the side. We're just going to go for it. Measure over 10 inches and cut. What's going to happen is we're going to place score tape on the back of this, and we're going to bring it all the way over to the left and leave about a 1/16 of black showing over here. And we're just going to lay that right on down. So let's get our score tape. Because we have those pockets and they're very high in the back, we do not have to waste a full sheet of our paper. And because our page 6 has a waterfall, which pretty much covers a lot of the print anyway, we can get away with using that other piece. So sometimes you just gotta get a little creative with how you work your pages, if you can. Sometimes you just have to use a full page to make it look good. So we'll go 1 down the middle, 2 on each side. I'm going to burnish this, take a moment, and then I'm going to remove the score tape and we're going to place this in our book together. I have the score tape off, and again, I am going to bring this all the way over except leaving a 1/16. And I'm actually going to stand up so I don't get my head in the video to get this on. And hopefully I can do that. Get that on as straight as I can. That'll work. And then we'll burnish. Okay, let's grab our 7 by 11 back pocket. In those corners, let's cut out those pieces, those squares. After you get those squares out, turn it over, fold on your score lines, and add your glue and burnish to make your pocket. Once you've made your pocket, what we're going to do is we're going to apply our glue. Of course, our opening is at the top. We're going to bring it down, and we will leave a little bit of spacing of our black right there. And we will glue that right on down. So let's do that really quick. Because this is such a big piece, and especially if you're using a heavier weight cardstock, you're definitely going to want to take the time and burnish really well. Straight as you can there. If you can see some of your decorative paper on the side, that's fine. You just want to take the time to make sure that these are down. In your reserves, you will find this piece. This is 12 inches long, and it is about 3 inches this way. Looking at your piece like this, measure over 10 inches and cut. So after making that cut, this is what you have. We're just going to glue this down to the front of this pocket up here, and we'll leave a little bit of a black lip. Perfect. Next, let's grab our 4.5 by 11 top pocket. We're going to cut out the squares, fold on our score lines, and assemble the pocket like we have been. I have my pocket assembled. Let's add our glue to the back. Whoops, I got way too much up there. Okay, we'll bring it over to the side of this pocket and down to the bottom, and it will cover for you. And take your time. In your reserves, you will find this print. It is 5 inches by 12 inches. Turn it this way, measure over 3 7/8 and cut. Next, measure over 10 inches and cut. This should fit right on top of that pocket, leaving a little bit of a black lip up there for us. And let's see, we can go that way or we can go this way, whichever way that you would like. I'm gonna put the glue on this side. In your paper pack, you should have another one of these. Oops, I bumped the camera. Down here at the bottom, we're going to cut off this red trim piece because we're going to use it. Here it is. Measure over 10 inches and cut. We're going to apply glue to that, and we will just stick that right there. Our last pre-cut is a 3 5/8 by 5 inch, and we're going to assemble this pocket. It's our side pocket the way we normally do. So let's get this pocket ready to go. I have the pocket done. Now this here is going to glue down here because our opening is through here. So let's get this down. Slide that back up there. And now we're going to find our paper for that. I want to use a sentiment. Now, when you were cutting out around, there should be plenty of room, but this is how I want you to cut this. Come straight down on your side and go across the top of this one, right where it meets, and then we're going to come straight up as best we can. We can always fix this. We're going to put this on our paper cutter and get this side straight and this side straight. If we're short, that's okay. We have something to do like that. But let's put that on our paper cutter and get this straightened out. After straightening mine out, I am going to need something over here. But I'm going to have to scoot this down some to be able to fit this. So I am going to scoot it all the way until there's just a little bit of black up there, and I'm going to take my pencil, if I can find it, and I'm going to come down to the pocket, and I'm going to make a pencil line so I know where I need to cut that. So after doing that, this will fit top and bottom. And now all I have to do is find a little trim piece for right here. So I'll make sure to find a trim piece that will accommodate us. And I think I have an idea of what I'd like to use. You should have this piece. I want you to lay it down to where it goes across. I don't want to waste this piece because I like the design here. So if you were to come over to where it's going to hang off here, but come over to the corner where it meets your paper, I want you just to put a little line, and then I want you to trim upwards. So I'm going to show you what I got. So right now this is what happened is I cut that down. That should be plenty enough. If I need to come over a little more, I can. I'm going to place that right up there, and then I can even it up. But I wanted to make use because I like this trim. And now I'm going to put it up here, come to the bottom, and I'm going to trim off this bottom piece. We're just making things fit. And mine kind of dips in to the side, so I'm just going to shave just a little more off and I should be okay still. So I shaved mine down, to where I can just stick that right here and it'll look good. So that's all you're doing, is trying to get a piece off of that with this on there. And then it will look really good because you got it here and you've got that trim kind of there too. And I think that will look good. Page 5 is complete. We are now moving on to page 6. We're on page 6. Let's review our pre-cuts. We cut 6 pieces of our cardstock that were 4 1/4 by 5 3/4, and we only labeled one per the instructions. We laid this on our scoring board, so we were 5 3/4 across, and we scored each one at a 1/2 inch. One more pre-cut, and that was a 1 3/4 by 7 3/4, and this was actually called our strap. We laid this on our scoring board. We are 7 3/4 across. We scored at a 1/2 inch and 5/8 inch. Okay, let's get started. We set this off to the side when we were cutting on page 5. This is already 8 inches. All we need to do is measure over 10 1/8 and cut. So that is what we should have. First thing that we're going to do is take all of our waterfall pieces and we're going to fold on those score lines. And we'll use our tool to sharpen, creasing up those score lines. So let's do that. I have all of mine folded. Now the one that you wrote on, just stick that to the side. That's going to be one of the top ones. We're going to stick 2 other ones with this, so we'll have 3 on one side and 3 on the other side. We're going to begin. You're going to need your ruler and your pencil. The first thing I want you to do is place your ruler down, line up with the edge over here, measure over a 1/2 inch and place a pencil line. Over here, it's this already there for you, this big long line. Over here, let's measure from the side, 1/2 inch, and place a line. Now what we're going to do is place it so we are lined up with the top. I don't want to get my head in the video. So I'm going to line this up with the top. You're going to want to measure down 1 3/8 and make a line right here. And you can come over here and do the same, 1 3/8. Where is that? 1 3/8. There it is. So I got a line here and 1 3/8, a line here. So we have all our markers. What we're going to do first is we're going to grab one that has no writing. We're going to place adhesive here. We're going to fold it back. And we're going to bring it up to the line, and we're going to bring it over to the sideline, and we're going to place that. So I'm going to get some glue on here. Oops. Here we go. Okay, let's try this again. There we go. Okay, fold that back, match it up with the sideline, and that top line, we'll just place it right on over. And what's nice is this line on the side of your paper will help you get this on straight. Okay, once it's down, we will burnish, and you can wipe up any glue that might seep out. So here's another one. It has no writing, and we're going to place our glue. So for this, it's very easy. We're going to rotate it. The glue is underneath, and we're just going to place that right until it hits that one. And we will press it down and it will line up with the others. And we definitely need to burnish this. Okay, here's another one. We're going to do the same thing. I'm getting crazy with my glue, guys. Ah. Okay, this one. And by using glue, it's much easier to maneuver your paper when you're placing it, in case you get it on a little crooked. Okay, that's all there is to that one. Let's grab another one with no writing. Fold it back, find your side line and your other one. So we're just going to place it, and that should come even with the bottom over here. Whoops. I think that's about right. Okay. We're going to grab another one with no writing. I'm just all over the board with my glue. Okay, rotate it and match it up. This last one has our writing, and the top ones get covered with some cardstock. The other ones we conserve, so we'll have strips at the bottom. And that's looking pretty even. Okay, let's find our paper for this. And I think I know what I would like to do for this. In your reserves, you will have these pieces. I am going to give you some measurements here so that we can fit this one, this image here, and fit this image over here on top. I think that will look good. Our first cut is looking at it like this: measure over 1 1/4 and cut. So that's all you took off. Next, measure over 4 inches and cut. For now, place that one down. We're going to turn this one upside down. We're going to do the same thing. Measure over 1 1/4 and cut. Now measure over 4 inches and cut. Now we're going to need to trim these down. And we'll trim this one, and then we can trim that one. So we're going to do a measure to fit. I want you to place this down to where you can still see that top one. Right now I am going to stick something back behind this black so you can see where the edge of it is still. Just a little peeking out. I'm going to move this over so I can see that, and I'm going to move this up to where the brown line is above the top of this, and then I'm going to come down maybe about 1/8 of an inch down from that brown line, make a mark, and I'm going to come up about 1/8 of an inch from the brown line up, and we're going to give that a try. So bring it up. I moved it about 1/8 of an inch here, and I moved in about 1/8 of an inch here. So I'm going to cut here and here. And I'm going to check my piece. That will work right on in there. I think that'll look really good there. I think so. Because once we get our other stuff underneath, you'll still be able to see some of that black border. Okay, for this one, and I want to give a measurement so that we can try and stay the same. We are about 5 1/8 here. So let's see. Oh, this one's pretty easy to do, actually. And I'm going to bring this up. You have a red, a cream, and a black. Right here on the black, right between the cream and the black, I want you to cut. So let me show you that. I want to try this out and see how this looks. So this is what came off. All we're going to do now to make sure that we have the same is measure over 5 1/8 and cut. Okay, These should fit. Let's glue these down. Sometimes I just like to do measure to fit. It's just easier, especially when you're working with 2 panels and you're trying to make things fit together. So make sure that you leave your black border bottom and top, and then try to even it side to side there. Oops. Okay, we're going to start cutting some pieces, 1/2-inch strips. So we're just going to pull up this first one here. In your reserves, you will find this piece. Let's see, we are 3 5/8 by 4 1/4. Measure over 4 inches and cut. So we are 4 inches this way. Let's turn this. We need several strips here. And again, right now we're looking at it, so we're 4 inches tall because I turned it. You're going to measure over a 1/2 inch and cut. You're going to measure over a 1/2 inch, cut, and you're going to cut until you have 4 1/2-inch strips. We're going to work with these 4. It's 1/2 by 4 inches. And what we're going to do, we have this first one, is we're going to glue one here. We're going to glue one up here, and you'll leave a little bit of a black border at the before the top, and you'll center it in there. We're going to go here, and we're going to go here. So let's get that glued down. I have all 4 of mine down. Let's flip that up. In your reserves, you will find this piece. On the back, it looks like this. This is about 2 inches by 4 7/8. Measure over 4 inches and cut. On this piece now, you're going to measure over a 1/2 inch and cut, and keep cutting for 1/2 inch until you have 4 of them. Okay, there is one that has this little trim on it. I'm going to be putting that one up there. And then the rest of these I am just going to place down. So let's glue those all down. I have all mine down, so right now it looks like this. Looks really good. Now let's flip that up. You would have this left after cutting for this. Measure over a 1/2 inch and cut, measure over again 1/2 inch and cut. These 2 pieces we're going to place up here, and I'm just going to flip mine around, and we'll glue those down. I have these down. The only thing left is to get something to cover up this tab. In your reserves, you will have this piece. What I'm looking at to get, and I will give you a measurement right now, this is about 1 7/8 by 8 inches. All we need to do is stick this on our paper cutter, and you see where the black line is already there going down. We're just going to cut along that. I'll show you mine. So this is 8 inches, measure over 4 inches and cut. These 2 pieces we're just going to lay right here and here. That looks good. I like that. It's time to get that strap on, so let's go ahead and fold on the score lines. Okay, this strap, the top score line will pinch on, so you'll still be able to see the second one. I want you to put this directly in between there. And that looks like I'm pretty even in between. We're going to pinch and hold and get this glued down. Okay, we can push up against that now. Okay, so we're going to be needing to press this down here in just a moment. But right now what I want you to do is flip this strap and hold this sideways. I'm going to give you a measurement on where to place the magnet. And you're going to need to measure on this one. Here's my ruler. So I have this open. It's easier for me to go like this, but measure 3/4 from the top of that strap in, and I want you to put a pencil mark right in the middle. There's 3/4. Let's grab our plus and our minus, and this pack is done. And where did my tool go? It ran away. There it is. I'll start with a plus, so I think you can see what I'm doing here. So if I was to turn this around, here's the top, and I'm at 3/4. Now bring this down to where the top of your magnet just covers that. This is where you're going to need to hold this down, locate your magnet, keep this down. Now grab it to keep it in place. The reason why I'm doing it like that is because things can get out of whack. So press down here now. Let the mate find it. We're flat. And we're going to shoot a little glue under there. Okay. We're going to let it sit. That should be good. Let's see. Yay! Perfect! Well, that's going to work wonderful for us, actually. In your reserves, remember when we cut off that little bit? This is, and we're going to use it, this is about 1 3/8 by 8 inches. Let's just open this up. If we were to place this down and center it, we'll have some blacker borders there. But we're going to take our pencil, leave a little bit of a black border up here, and look to see where that score line is and come up about 1/8. Make a pencil mark. Now let's just cut that. So you have a choice. You can have it like that. I think I'm going to have the teapots up this time. And we're going to glue this down. We'll get something that will fit just a little better on the cover on the other side. But for this will work out perfect for us. I hope you're enjoying the tutorial. I'm having a lot of fun with this paper. There's so many things. I know I've said that before, but I really enjoy this paper. Okay. So if you were to push it down, you should still be able to be latched. We're going to find some paper here, and then we're going to find something else. Ooh, Alice looks like she may fit in there. What's on the back? So what we're going to do is we're going to flip this over. We're going to use this side, and then we can put something there. If you'd rather use this side, you most definitely can. But put this on your paper cutter, and we're going to cut straight down on each side. Leave the brown border, of course. Okay, let's turn this over and see what we got here. Okay, don't glue it down yet. We may have to shave a little more off the sides there. Just a little bit, but just leave that right like that. On your piece here, it might change my mind what we're going to end up doing, but we're just going to cut this one off. If you know time as well as I do, you wouldn't talk about wasting it. And I am debating here. We can go like this because they look good both ways. I thought it would be just too much Alice, but once we get this down, I think that would look good. Let's take a look. Let's cut out and around this. And then once we're done cutting out and around that, let's glue it down to some black cardstock and cut around that. Again, don't glue this down because we may flip that over and use the Alice side and have 3 Alices. So I'll show you what mine looks like when I'm done. I finished mine. Now I have been sitting here debating, do I want it like this or like this? And I am going to go with it like this. because it's very busy with all three Alices. Now, one thing I am going to do is trim just maybe a 1/16 off, or just a hair off each side so the brown stays even, just so I have a little bit more of a black border, just a little bit. You don't have to. Okay, I trimmed mine down just a little more. I like that better. So when I glue this down, I'm going to have this print at the top. If you would rather have it more busy, put the Alice in the middle, but honestly, I've placed it up next to our page 5, and for me, I think this looks the best. So we'll do just a little bit of black up there. We're going to have more black down here. And now for this, it gets glued on right here. So I'm going to place some glue here and go up the sides. I am definitely going to slide something back behind. Knowing me, my glue will squirt. So this is going to come down just to where the little tip meets the red, I'd say. That's a good place. So now I'm going to burnish from this side, make sure no glue seeps out. That looks good. I hope you like it too. Let's flip this over. We're going to do score tape around the outside like a picture frame. We're going to go 1 down the middle, 2 on each side, and I'm going to drizzle a little glue in between. So I'm going to get this off first and then start doing my score tape. And then I will meet you at the book. Here is my page 6, and I'm going to put something back behind it so you can see the edge. On this one, I'm going to come in about 1/8 or so from the edge. No more than 1/8. Make sure I get this on straight, and you're going to press it down. And we will burnish. On my Camp Happy Bear, when I did some picture mats, I did a couple picture mats here and here underneath that matched up with this. Just an idea. That looks good. Page 6 is complete. We are now on to page 7. We're on page 7. We have 2 pre-cuts. The first one is a 4 1/4 by 11 inch. We called it a pocket. We laid this on our scoring board, so we were 4 1/4 across. We scored at a 1/2 inch. We then turned it. We're 11 inches across. We scored at a 1/2 inch and 10 1/2 inches. Last pre-cut, 3 7/8 by 6 inch. We called it an offset folder. We laid this on our scoring board. We are 6 inches across. We scored at 2 5/8. In your paper pack, you will find this print. On the back, it looks like this. First thing I would like us to do is turn our page to look like this, measure over 8 inches, and cut. After making that cut, this is what you should have. Hold this one off to the side. We have 2 cuts for this. Measure over 1 inch and cut. After making that cut and taking that side off and putting it in reserves, measure over 10 1/8 and cut. We're going to use this for our main page. Let's grab our pocket, and we're going to clip out the squares, fold on the score lines, and assemble our pocket. After assembling your pocket, let's apply glue, and we're going to set this. This is a very quick page. And we will bring it down to the bottom, center that side to side, and get that on. Next, let's grab this piece, and we'll look at it like this. Measure over 10 inches and cut. Okay, next, let's see. We'll look at it like this. Measure over 3 5/8 and cut. After making that cut, this is what you should have. Let's flip it over. And we're going to glue that down. Now your writing may be upside down, so what you can do is just flip it around so you have this over here, because our folder is going to lay over here, and it'll look good like that. Okay, let's set that off to the side. Let's grab our offset folder, and we're going to fold. In your reserves, you will have this piece. We're going to stick this on our paper cutter and cut right down in between to separate these from this. And I'll show you mine. And let's see here. Let's go ahead and divide up our pieces. So I'm going to cut here and here. After doing that, this one put in your reserves. Let's cut out and around each one of these. And you'll want to use your paper cutters for straight lines. I have both of mine done. The first one we're going to do is the Mad Hatter. And we're going to work with the shorter side here. So I'm just going to open this up. My peak is up. And we're going to center that in there as best we can. Once you have that, I would like you to close this up. Over here in the corner where the fold is, we're going to clip at an angle, leaving a little bit of black. Then we can open this up and get this side. So you should look like this. This one, now you can either have the Cheshire Cat up or you can place it down. I'm going to be putting it to where I have the Cheshire Cat down because I have more of these in the paper pack, and I will at the end so I can use them. But I want to have it like this. In your reserves, you're going to find some scraps. One looks like this. This one is 2 1/8 by 7 inches. This little thing, really pretty, looks like this. This is 1 1/2 by 4 inches. So I'm kind of looking at it like this, where we have the writing down here and I have some of this here. On both of these, we're going to measure over 3 5/8 and cut. We're going to do a little layering, and we will be clipping this one. This one's going to go right here, so let's put this one down. And then we can clip the other one in just a moment. And I'll leave myself a border over there. Now with this one, we're going to need to clip at a slight angle. So what I'm doing is I'm just placing it down to where it would normally be. And all I'm going to do once I have it there, and I'm going to bring it over to where it covers some of that writing. I'm leaving one row of writing showing. And then up here, I'll just clip. So I'm going to glue that down. Okay, you see where it says we are all mad here? I'm going to do something different with this page. Let's cut out and around this image. Then what we're going to do is we're going to glue it down to some scrap cardstock, and we'll cut out and around, leaving a black border. I'll show you mine as soon as I'm done. And for this, I'm probably just going to weave around it like I have the others with some of the scroll work, just to make it easier. Okay, the first thing I want to do is get down, oh, by the way, here's mine. First thing I want to do is glue this down so it will still create a tuck. So I'm going to put glue down this way and along the bottom. Then I'm going to kind of put it off at a little bit of an angle, I think. Now we're going to put a little glue just on the top there. And we're going to stick that until it looks fairly even. So it's just going on the top one. Okay, let's open that up. We are in our next pack of magnets, so grab 2. Where did my tool go? Here we go. Okay, over here, bring it in, right? Bring it in a little bit. Let's put the mate. We're gonna take the backing off there of the mate. And we are not done because we are going to cover that. So you can give it a little bend if you need to, but we're going to press. And then I'm going to jiggle that off a bit. And I'm going to get something for right here. Imagination, the only weapon in the war against reality. We're going to get that out. Now we are going to cut around this, and I'm just going to weave around it, and we are not going to back it. We don't need to. So I am going to do that really quick, and I'll show you what mine looks like. Oh, that's all I did. And we're going to glue that down right there. Let's test it out. I think that looks good. Page 7 is complete. Let's flip it over. Score tape around the outside like a picture frame, 1 down the middle, 2 on each side, and I will meet you at the book to place this. Here is page 7, and we're going to come in 1/8 inch from the side. I think that's good enough. And we will burnish. I like page 7. It looks really good. Let's move on to page 8. Let's review page 8 pre-cuts. We cut 2 pieces that were 5 5/8 by 8 inches, and we called these a fold out. On each one of these, what we did was we laid this on our scoring board. We are 5 5/8 across. We scored it at 1/2 and 5/8 on both fold out. We have 2 pieces that are 4 1/2 by 5 3/4. We called it a pocket. We laid this on our scoring board. We're 4 1/2 inches across. We scored at 1/2 inch. We then turned it. We are now 5 3/4 across. We scored at 1/2 and 5 1/4 on each one of these pockets. Let's begin. In your paper pack, you will find another one of these. And in order for us to have the same leftovers, what I would like us to do is turn our paper like this, measure over 8 inches, and cut. This piece here we'll put in reserves. Now that we have this, we're going to measure over 10 1/8 and cut. We'll put this in reserves. Let's flip this over. This is our main page. Let's get after our fold outs, and we're going to fold on those score lines. We're going to end up having one fold out to the right and one to the left. Okay, we'll start with the one on the right side. Our hinges over here on the outside score line, pinch and crease. And we will attach it, making sure we're even there. Okay, we'll fold back in a minute. Let's grab our left side and our hinges off to the left, and on that outside score line, let's pinch and crease, and we're going to put that one on as well. I need a little more glue under there. Okay, we will open these up, make sure no glue seeped out, and then we'll fold back on the other ones and push in. And you should have a spacing in between. Let's open these up and find our paper for this. You'll find this in your paper pack, and on the back it looks like this. Let's turn this sideways. We're going to measure over 7 3/4 and cut. Looking at it like this, where we have this over here, measure over 4 5/8 and cut. This is what you should have. This one's going to go over here. Now we're going to flip this upside down. Measure over 4 5/8 and cut. This piece, put in your reserves. So we have both of our panels. And what we can do is figure out which side we want. I thought maybe that one over there, but you know, I kind of like this one over here. Flipping it over, this is what you're going to get. I think I'm going to go with that there. And then I think I'll go with that one right there. I like that. Let's glue these down. So this is meant to be just for photo placements on the inside. I don't have a problem with putting a photo over this and having Ellis down there. Or doing it the other way. I'm going to grab a photograph to kind of show you. You may be interested in seeing. You may not be, but I have a picture of a couple of my dogs, but you can place one right there and it would look really good leaving that. If you went like this, you could go down here, but personally I'd be placing a photo right there. And there's Sissy when she was young smiling for the camera. And then one right over here. So total picture placement on this. Okay, let's fold these up and we're going to need to get some paper. But first what I'd like us to do is assemble both of our pockets. So cutting out the squares, folding on our square line, using glue and assembling. Let's get these ready to go. So here are our pockets. Of course the opening is going to be up here. Let's set these off to the side and find our paper. In your reserves you will find this long piece. It's the cutoff of what we had on the inside. Right now we are about 4 1/4 by 12 inches. Want you to make 2 cuts. Measure over 4 1/2 and cut, measure over 4 1/2 and cut. Now just laying these down, you'll see that we're going to be short. So we're just going to place these right here towards the center, any way you want. Let's see. We should be actually 4 1/2 wide, so we'll just make sure we're going 4 1/2 wide and bring it over, leaving a little bit of a black border. We're not going to glue these down yet, so I need to turn this one. Now on this, in your reserves, this piece here was a cutting, and I really like the colors on here, especially with the purples. What we're going to do, and this is about 1 7/8 by 8 inches. Perfect. So looking at it like this, where the purple's at the top, I want you to measure over a 1/2 inch and cut, measure over again a 1/2 inch and cut. So this is what you should have. And we'll have the purple at the top. We're going to turn them sideways, measure over 4 1/2 and cut. Do not glue these down just yet. We will get to that. I want to see what this looks like first. So we're going to be longer going this way. We are putting our piece so that we are longer this way. But that's okay. I just want to take a look. I think that's going to look great. Let's push these up. We're going to place our pockets first, and then we will tuck our paper in between, so then it will lay correctly, not having them uneven on the sides or how far we need to go. Our opening is at the top, so we're going to come down and center this in between the sides. And I'm going to make sure that mine kind of pop up a bit so I can get more stuff in there. Because we are getting down to, I've already selected the papers for our pages and stuff, but we are getting down to where we don't have a whole lot. And we'll definitely need that extra solid colored cardstock to do our picture mats if we're going to do a lot of them after the tutorial, of course. We don't do those together. So I'm just going to try and even these up. Okay, the sides. What we're going to do is we're going to apply glue to this, and we're going to slide it till it hits the inside of our pocket, and we're just going to bring that up. So I'll do mine, just slide it right on in there, make sure it's straight, and leave about 1/8. Now for this piece, make sure that you are 4.5 inches wide. And I'm just going to do mine like this. And we'll get that down. And I'm going to slide that in there and slightly overlap. And make sure it's straight there. And then you'll never, I mean, you don't even know that it was done like that. And that way we save. And I wanted to make sure that we fit in there. So that's the easiest way for me to teach it. And I'm going to make sure I am 4.5 wide. And that looks good. In your reserves, you will have this piece. It's the cutting from this. We're going to turn it sideways to where the trim is like this. Measure over 3 7/8 and cut. Once you've done that, we have 2 cuts. Measure over 4 3/4 and cut. Measure over again 4 3/4 and cut. These 2 pieces will fit right on here. I'm going to put this one here, and I will put this one here. And then we're going to get ready to get our latch with our magnet. All right, let's put that off to the side. On your cut apart sheet, we're going to grab this one right here. I think this one's going to be our best bet for what we want to do. So what we're going to do is kind of cut out and around this. Then what we're going to do is glue it down to some black cardstock, and we're going to cut out and around that, leaving a black border. So let's do that, and I'll show you mine as soon as I'm done. Again, with this one, I'm probably just going to kind of weave. I'm not going to get too detailed with it, just kind of go around things. Here's mine. So what we're going to do is turn this over. Let's grab a plus and a minus. And again, I'm looking at it like this. I'm just going to rotate it over, and I'm going to grab a plus. Plus is going to be right here. We'll just put the mate on there for now. Now you're going to want to get some scrap cardstock, and I'm going to look for something here. I've got this color. That will be helpful. But now our magnet's under here. What we're trying to achieve, I'm just going to go like this right now. What we're trying to achieve is to get the glue, get this in the center, get the glue, and then this is going to press down here to hold this shut. So for me, I want to make sure I don't get anything under there. I'm going to do this. So I think about halfway down would be good. And I'm going to give this just a little bend without creasing. I want to take a look. That looks good. You just want to make sure that you place your magnet over enough to get over there. So now I think I'm pretty good. I'm just going to wipe up any glue that wants to peek out. There's that. Let's latch this over onto this one. So make sure that's shut and press. And then open that up. For here, let's see. I think we'll just cut out and around this little butterfly. I think we'll try and do that. Up here you'll see a butterfly. I think that's what I'd like to do. So I'm going to leave some of the white, and I'm just going to go and kind of go around this. And I'll show you mine in just a moment so you can kind of see what I did. So that's what mine looks like. It's not going to cover everything, but I can get it over there. And I think that's what it'll just cover if you leave some of that white. And let's see. Hey, that looks pretty good. Leave that alone. Page 8 is complete. We're done with it. Score tape around the outside like a picture frame, 1 down the middle, 2 on each side, and I'll meet you at the book. Okay, here I am on page 8. And let's see, what do I have to slide behind so I can see my edges? Right there. I'll just go like that. So on this one, just come in about a 1/16 from the side. Just 1/16 because we have the black already that is on our fold out. Oh, once you get it in, this is a quick burnish. And I think that looks good. Nothing else needed to be done with this one. We are now moving on to page 9. We're on page 9 and 10. We're not going to have any pre-cuts for this. In your paper pack, you're going to find this print. They're both the same. One of them you're going to flip over like this. And what Alice found there. And then the other one we're going to have like this. So we're going to double them up. One like this, one like this together. Now we turn it like this. Measure over 8 inches and cut. After making that cut, this is what you should have. You'll have this one like this. This one we're going to turn around so both our images are off to the left. Measure over 10 1/8 and cut. This is page 9 and this is page 10, so you can just place some picture mats here. We're going to flip these over and we're going to apply score tape around the outside like a picture frame, 1 down the middle, 2 on each side, and I will meet you at the book. Here is page 9 and 10. So this one's for page 9. We're going to come in 1/8 inch from the side there. And we'll place this. And then I'll give that a good burnish. And then for page 10, we'll move in 1/8 inch and get that one down. Mine are both in the book and I've burnished it down. We're almost done with this album. We're moving on to page 11 and you'll find that in part 3 of this video. I will see you at part 3.